Welcome to Straight Lines. This is where life lessons meet leadership, where business gets a front row seat, and where you will get a blueprint for success. Whether you're managing a team, building a brand, or just trying to lead yourself better, you're in the right place. Because here on Straight Lines, we believe the shortest distance between purpose and progress is truth, clarity, and action. Straight Lines brought to you by Blue Book Sports. Blue Book Sports has been the game's trusted directory since 1909, and now it's where businesses connect directly with players, parents, and coaches. Create a profile, promote your services, and join the community. If your business wants to stand out, it's time to get in the book. Download Blue Book Sports today from Apple or Google Play. I am excited and ecstatic to have today's guest with me, the legendary Tony Iannelli, President and CEO of the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce, one of the largest, most influential chambers in the country. I said the country. Under Tony's leadership, the chamber has become a driving force behind the region's economic growth, workforce development, and public-private collaboration. The Lehigh Valley is one of Pennsylvania's fastest growing economic engines, and Tony sits at the center of the conversations shaping its future. Today, we're talking about where the region is headed, what business leaders should be paying attention to, and the straight lines that drive sustainable growth. Tony, can't thank you enough, my friend. I really appreciate you coming on with me today.
Yeah, it's great to be here with you, Coach. I'm glad. I love what you're doing, and I love anytime I get to hang with you, I'm in.
I appreciate that. I'll send you a check. I do, actually. Thank you, sir.
Do. It's true.
Yeah.
You already did that one.
Yeah, we did. I appreciate you very much. So we talked about this. It's one of the fastest growing regions, in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
More so in the country, probably. This is a crazy area, just growing rapidly. I think $6 billion in economic GDP. I mean, just crazy. What's driving this stuff? What do you think?
I know one thing. I'm going to be shaving this. I tried this scruff thing. I'm going to be shaving. I don't like the look of it on the podcast.
Oh, I think it's okay.
Yeah, what's driving? Look, we all know where it's come from. Not everyone, but many of us know where we came from. And it was a tough run. I mean, we were really when that whole industrial revolution sort of collapsed in the 60s and 70s, in particular 70s, we lost a lot of major businesses, and everyone knows Bethlehem Steel and so on. So we were in a rough spot, and I just think it was the stick-to-itiveness, if you will, of the Lehigh Valley, that people just kept hanging in and kept chipping away. And I think the organizations, LVDC and the chamber and planning commission, and then of course the private sector leadership that just, like I said, and political, just kept hanging and just kept pounding away. And we came back stronger than I think we ever dreamed we would.
Yeah, I know, and we're cut from the same, a lot of salt of the earth, right? Yeah. People in the Lehigh Valley. I mean, they're I don't like the term grind, but man, they hang in there and they dig in, and they end up making such an impact in a lot of ways in the community and obviously from a business standpoint. So where do you think it's going in the next 5 years? Where are we headed here?
I think our biggest challenge is making sure that we navigate the growth, infrastructure and so on, because we've had this tremendous amount of growth, and particularly in a lot of communities that were small communities are now handling a lot more traffic and a lot more growth and a lot more employees moving about the valley. So I think infrastructure is one thing. Are our roads able to handle it? Look at some of these new data centers, enough electricity to handle it, water to handle it. So with growth comes challenges, and again, thankful for the growth, but managing the growth is probably the next step. We're, in many cases, particularly in closer to our cities, we're out of land, and in terms of the growth. So I think we're going to see it continue. We're at a good spot right between New York and Philadelphia. That doesn't hurt our cause, that's for sure.
Yeah, the infrastructure obviously is huge. And I think, and we're salt of the earth folks, been around for a while. Infrastructure, some of it's kind of old, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of starting to wear out a little bit. And you mentioned the proximity with New York City and Philadelphia, seeing a lot of warehouse growth, right? A lot of, that kind of stuff, Nestle and Amazon, and, a lot of folks doing that. you know,
They found us.
they found us, right? And is kind of build on that. Is the area and the space for that, is that a concern? It seems like we still have a lot. I know there's a big one going on, down the street here off of Route 309 in Center Valley. But are we concerned a little that we run out of space at some point for that kind of stuff?
Well, I think the populace, if you will, the citizens are concerned. They see
Yeah.
warehouses going up in cornfields, and it's alarming to them. I guess it's the combination of these fulfillment centers / warehouses, whatever you want to call them, are in many cases create jobs and are good. You think about the truck usage and so on. So infrastructure, back to infrastructure again. So I think it's finding balance. I really do, and I think that it almost boils down as much as there's a need and a want for these major companies to be here and put fulfillment centers here. I think it gets down to local communities saying, look, we're good. We did 3, enough is enough. So I'm back to balance on this.
Yeah, I think balance is good. I think you have to put residents' minds at ease in some manner. And a lot of times that's the spokesperson, right? I mean, they have to trust in somebody and
Sure.
have somebody that, hey, this guy, I think they put me on the board at St. Luke's Hospital 25 years ago because I was that guy in the community in Quakertown at the time. And I think that mattered.
Is that where you grew up, Quaker? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, my Quakertonian, yep. 330,000 jobs, I think I read, total employment. So you interact with so many businesses and,
Sure.
So much, how do you balance all that? We're talking about balance and, how do you handle that bigger group at one time? I mean, how do you go transition from one to the other, big business, small business?
Yeah.
I mean, I always said every order is important to the person that ordered it, right? Whether it's a dozen cheerleading T-shirts or 100 football uniforms. I think the same.
That's a good point.
Right, it's true. The same is true in business, whether it's me, entrepreneurs, or the big corporations. So how do you go from one to the other? And I think you do it seamlessly, by the way.
Well, I love the community. I love the people in the community. So we say we're as much as about Chamber of Commerce as well as community. So look, we want to make sure that we're encouraging and we're facilitating and helping businesses grow. That's what we do. But we also want to make sure that we're committed to communities. We say we're on every main street, and we want to be on office on every main street because we want to be part of what the future of Hellertown or the future of Emmaus or the future of Northampton, and I could go on. There's a lot of, we've been lately putting more emphasis on, I shouldn't say more emphasis, equal emphasis, but more, it's risen on our interest scale, if you will. And that's the smaller communities, again, the Hellertowns, the Emmaus, these Slatington. But we want to make sure we don't leave them behind. And there's a lot of potential there. That's where our employees are coming from, and that's where the future growth will be. So we want to make sure that we're committed to this community development effort to help develop these communities and keep them healthy and vital. And I mean, you look at Hellertown and the transformation, how well it's doing. Emmaus is another example. So we want to make sure they're all healthy and vibrant. Like, look, Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton. We always have challenges, and we always want to be better. But from where they came, have been really vibrant compared to the history. They were rock solid in the 50s and so on, and took a dive in the 70s and 80s, and now they're back. And just real quick, when you look at a PPL Center or the Coca-Cola Park, which will have a new name, I think we've
Yes.
and that's coming sooner than later. So it'll be calling it something else next time we talk.
Yeah, I haven't heard yet, but
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Well, I heard. Okay.
I'm sure I'll be there opening weekend, I think, for the Iron Pigs, and I think Scranton's in town. I'll have the Friday, Sunday games for sure, maybe Saturday.
Yeah.
We'll
Look, it's
see,
your
but,
show, but you're the big baseball guy. What do you think of the Phillies? Are they going to be
a little concerned. I mean, in baseball, Tony, pitching is everything. It's everything, and I don't know. I don't think they have enough. I mean, although we could talk baseball for 24 hours, but I can see that. I think the lineup's okay. I don't know. It just seems stale to me. They seem stale.
It's interesting. We had an event, and I met Topper, the coach, and really nice. Exactly what you would think. I'm sure you probably met or know him, but I felt like, and he's a really good guy, but I felt like he was almost trying to convince himself that, we've made some adjustments, but hey, if the younger rookies deliver, these new people, that Painter and who's the center fielder, really good.
Justin Crawford,
Yeah, they
Justin
deliver.
Crawford, Andrew
I'll be good.
Painter. Aiden
Okay.
Miller probably gets there eventually.
Yeah.
So thank you for stoking my baseball.
And I know. I
baseball.
always tell you, I
like-
love one of the greatest sites. I think the baseball field at DeSales is one of the best looking. I love that spot. I love that field.
It's a pretty cool place, and it's obviously the fabric of my life. But
Yes.
but it's I think and a little business part, like networking and getting to know people, getting to know you. I guess what would you tell somebody, in that realm while we're on that subject of, I'm a young, aspiring business guy, entrepreneur. What advice would you tell? What advice would you give the young Tony Iannelli? What would you say to yourself, maybe?
That's a great question. I started. We had a family business which ended when I was a senior in high school. So I started on the assembly line at Mack Truck, and I put tires on trucks for 3 years. And the advice for me, and I think this is a void in this recent world, this 21st century. For me, it's people. People have helped me so much, and I would just say, people that you view as ultra successful, or whatever, they're looking to help. They see themselves in you. So I think just connecting. Everything's sort of electronic today, and sure that that gets us a lot of places. I think it's a wonderful tool, but I think the connection of people. I think almost every job I got, and probably maybe 6 in my career, different spots, were all about people that I connected with, that I knew, that I liked, and helped me, lifted me up.
Yeah, I kind of start a segment at some point in the near future, kind of working on this yet, and called From the Trustees Chair, Tony. And it'll be a couple minutes just on stuff, and I was on a board at St. Luke's, I mentioned, for 8 years, and they gave me a really nice chair. So I had this epiphany. I'll sit in the chair and I'm going to just spew out some things.
But I bet you enjoyed that. I mean, because it's an interesting business, and
I was very educational. I learned a lot and met a lot of people. And I think one of the topics you touched on too, for young people too, and I there's jealousy is rampant in the world. People would probably hope, I hope Tony stinks at his job and they get somebody else, or Neiman's, full of baloney, whatever. I think people are like that, but I think over time it takes some patience to learn that, we need to, Harry Truman said, 33rd president, said, it's amazing what we can accomplish if nobody cares who gets the credit. Right. And I think that's a huge thing to learn and understand. And if you can elevate people and rise them, make them better for their success, you enjoy it much more as well. You can't step on people on your rise up while they're hanging on to the ladder. Elevate them, push them up. So that's one of the topics I think I'm going to expound on for a couple of minutes. But what concerns right now, Tony, in the Valley, besides logistics? What do you hear? I mean, it could be government, could be tax base. I mean, what concerns may be out there with business owners?
Well, I think business owners. First of all, I think the biggest thing is they just want to do business, and they want regulation or government, if you will, to almost stay out of their way. They can get it done. They know what they're doing. They can get it done. So maybe over regulation, but I don't know if that's a major. Right now, I hate to be too optimistic, but there's no really huge major concerns. Look, we're always holding our breath on the economy, and we want to make sure. I would say it right now, it's not as robust as it was for a brief period, but it's also still strong. I mean, and because I ask every business, how's business, and I can tell. We're doing good. We're maybe down a little bit, but I think generally there's good energy, particularly in what people understand too here in the Lehigh Valley. Not every part of Pennsylvania or the country is as robust as we are right now. I mean, we are really, really lucky to be in this spot, and not every community is sharing that. So, I think that that we continue that, and I think that we continue to work together. You sort of touched on it, to get away from all the noise and just stay focused on the Lehigh Valley and working together no matter what our agenda is, try to set that aside, or at least find common ground and keep working together, keep doing this great thing that we've been doing.
Yeah, that's nobody cares gets the credit. Let's be successful, everybody and anybody. And I think we're
There's
all
a
going to
lot of
help
noise, a lot of noise out there,
Sure.
a lot of noise. And
Yeah,
the best you can stay positive for everybody's sake. I just try to be as positive as possible. I don't want to be ignoring issues or whatever, but
yeah, sure.
there's enough negativity. I'm not trying, I'm in the positivity lane as much as I can.
I think you and I are both kind of, the glass half full.
Yeah.
I've always been that way. And I think, what else is really important, I think, Tony, is, being authentic. The BS meter, I think, is pretty high on myself. And I think you as well, just be authentic. It's okay. Be genuine. And I think that also gets you, a lot of places, I think, whether they like it or not. This is me. I'm not a lot of gray area. It's black and white, and that's the way we go. Last quick question on this segment. Where are the opportunities now? You see anything kind of fresh and new that people might be able to take advantage of?
Well, opportunities. I don't look. The valley seems to lately have been an opportunity. Retail, we're pretty solid with from a retail perspective, and services. Look, healthcare is growing like crazy, and I don't know that I can point to it. Again, that might be like at Lehigh Valley Economic Development's focusing on specific, recruitment of business. Look, we just did the Eli, which is an amazing get for the Lehigh Valley, and how they're able to accomplish that along with the state economic development people. I just think that, again, back to what I was saying, I think the opportunity is getting involved in your community, getting involved with people and meeting people. And boy, that can open so many doors. So if you're hardworking and people see you as reliable and dependable and focused on good things, I think that they're drawn to you, even as you talked about earlier, even as young professionals, that I think of, when I left the assembly line, I went into real estate and had some friends there that sort of got me into that. And when I was there, I became friendly with some people that worked for the Economic Development Corporation, Tony Hanna, and he hired me. And then I worked on the downtown initiative and then Ray Holland, who owned Holiday Air Fashions, bought a hotel. I managed a hotel. So anyway, I guess all I'm saying is, for me, that's my strength. I'm a people person. I'm not a numbers guy per se. I know numbers, and we're doing good at the chamber, but I'm not more detailed. I'm about human beings and people, and that's my strength. So maybe to close is find out what your strength is, and work that strength. And someone once told me, I'm just going to keep my head down and keep working hard. And I said, I'm for keep your head up and keep working hard and look for opportunity.
You can
Coach, I want to ask you a question, if I could.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Tony.
You've had such a great impact on so many. Do you look back satisfied, all the young people that you've mentored and worked with and done such good work with?
Yeah, I would say yes to that. I coached in 1,401 games, so it was a lot of games. I don't remember maybe 5 of them, I just don't. But what I do remember is all the kids, all the players, all the families, all the parents. I remember them all. And what happens, I think, when you're with young people, it's amazing how smart you are, maybe 10 or 15 years later, right? You're with them. And, I'm still an oft-used reference for, these kids looking for jobs. And I think they appreciate it even more so when they're gone and forging their own lives, right? And so I'm really happy about that. I guess, when I'm leaving this earth, I want on my tombstone, just, good guy. That's all.
Yeah.
Well,
I think you got that one. You're a good guy, and I think you've helped a lot of people. But you know what? It's kept you young, wouldn't you say, being around young people?
Oh, no, 100%. I think this, what I'm doing now, and I never dreamed of doing this, and it's taken off like a rocket. In 4 months, we've reached 250,000 people, in all terms of social media and everything else. So, I never thought it, and I never thought it. And I had a guy ask me a question like, if you wouldn't make any money out of it, which I'm going to try to do, he said, would you still do it? And I said, yes, I would. Yeah. Yes, I would. And back to your question, I think if one person listens, or gets one thing out of it. It's like going to a coach's clinic. If I got one thing out of it, that was okay. That was good. And I think I view this as the same way. Visiting here with the incomparable Tony Iannelli. He's an unbelievable man. If you're enjoying straight lines and the conversations we are having, I would love to bring that same energy to your organization. I speak to teams, conferences, schools, and groups about leadership, resilience, and living a life that will cast a large shadow. My next book in October. If you're looking for someone who connects, encourages, and inspires you with real life stories that matter, I am available for your keynote or special events. Please reach out to me at coachtimneiman.com. I would be honored to serve you. Back here with Tony Iannelli, and we're having a blast. We're getting a little bit of the chamber stuff here, and I think that's really important. And I might have been one of these guys, and I recently joined, and as a baseball coach, didn't have a whole lot of need, I guess, but now, I do. I think a lot of people look at it as a networking organization, right? Yeah, it's just all network, and it's people and blah 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 blah. But it's so much more than that. So if you would kind of enlighten everybody on the meanings of the chambers, more than networking.
Well, I think what's important is, when I got here, Tim, we were 90% of our income or support was dues, 10% non-dues. Now it's totally inverted. And what that means is people like you or whoever joins, what's the value? In today's 21st century, people are investing money, you've got to bring value. They have to have a return. So it could mean very different things to many people. Our public policy group could be getting involved in public policy and legislation that's important to them. We have, as you know, varied communities, all the varied communities that are involved, and that could be what's important to your community, what's important to your main street, what's important legislatively, what's happening in your community, and how can we improve that. So certainly the networking, I think the good news is we do have over 400 events a year. So we try to do networking, our annual meeting, which is over 1,300 people at Wind Creek, down to an event that might be on a main street in Slatington with 50 people. But if there's connections and they're doing business together and they're improving the community, we want to be there. So that's and working with the public sector, working with local mayors, and we're upcoming real soon is our mayor's event. We'll bring 20 mayors from all across the valley, mostly the smaller communities. We'll have the mayor of Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton there, but we want the mayors from the smaller communities to be there so we can celebrate them. Some of these mayors are literally working for. I remember last year, real quick, if I can, the mayor of Coopersburg, I said from the podium, and again, there's 500-600 people there. I said, the mayor of Coopersburg, great guy. He's working for $600 a year. And somebody yelled, $400. We tried to give him a raise, he wouldn't take it. So we want to salute these smaller town mayors who are really working hard to keep their communities in pace with the growth that we've had and adapt to the growth that they're seeing. Yeah. So it's about human beings from my perspective, and how do we help each other be better, more prosperous, improve our quality of life.
Always was, always will be, Tony. There's no doubt. And people care. It's kind of what Straight Lines is about. People care about what they're doing. And we all know the path to success is not a straight line. It's all over the place. But we try to keep on, we try to have that North Star. We try to have that, ending sort of point that we all point to. And I think the mayor of Coopersburg is probably a great example. There's lots of folks like that, right? A lot of folks. Yeah. Is there any initiative right now with the chamber that might have some major long-term effect?
Yeah, I think right now we're working on we're actually established we're doing a community development fund. And again, we're focusing on main streets and making sure, again, if we had, let's just pretend, if we had 10 booming businesses, but yet that the economics weren't filtering down to other communities geographically and otherwise. So is Coopersburg strong? Is Emmaus strong? Is Northampton strong? Do they feel part of it? Do they feel supported? Is the African American community strong? Is the Latino community strong? And do they feel part of it? And do they feel supported? So I think that's what we're really focusing on now, and that is making sure that everybody feels part of this, because with that strength, we can really keep going and keep doing great things. So I think that's it. I think we're really going to focus on community development in smaller communities, but as also development of communities besides geographic, and making sure they feel part of the future of this valley.
Yeah, inclusion is critical, obviously. Anything in there like might be a game changer? Any one thing that comes to mind that might really make a huge difference?
Well, I think no, I think the one thing is the beginning of it, and that is the focus that again that if you're in a smaller community and you're in one of the diverse communities, that you're realize that you're going to be part of this. You're going to be part of this growth. You're going to be part of this future. And you're not a bystander, and you're not on the outside looking in. So we're trying to make sure that we're bringing everybody that we can, because I'll tell you what, one of the things I've learned, Tim, is when we merged with all the chambers, we merged 19 chambers together. The amount of leadership, we think sometimes of leadership as the names that you read in the paper or whatever, the big name. There are people in these communities that are unbelievable, that have run small businesses their whole lives, that are dedicated to the community or have moved here from outside, that are running businesses or involved politically, that really care about their community. So that's a lot of energy. I think we used to sort of miss that energy, or it was in a real small silo within their community. And now we're just trying to make sure, back and forth, we're working top to bottom, bringing everybody together and keep going, keep this positive momentum going.
Yeah, one of the things I've looked at, Tony, in the post-retirement baseball thing, probably busier now than I was with coaching. So you've probably heard of the term masterminds, right? This mastermind.
Sure, yeah.
And I've looked at that, and I think, how many, and you're really touching on it, you're probably doing it without knowing it, I guess.
Yeah, we have
all these little leaders in all these communities, you bring them together, and it becomes a mentorship more than anything else. And you might have 10 or 15 accountants sitting in a meeting that can't share what they really on their mind with their boss, but in that group and their peers, they can kind of look at issues and come up with solutions. And I think it'd be kind of cool to do. Maybe it's instead of mastermind, it's called mentor mind. And also, how many young professionals, Tony, are out there that maybe finding their way, maybe don't know really how to interact, perhaps, they're good at their trade, and because they're always on these things and, all the electronics, they don't communicate properly or well with somebody else. They're not authentic, and I see a lot of players like that, or a lot of ex-players that I had when they come to me, look, you're going to have to talk to somebody, let's put this stuff. How about, don't text me, come on over and we'll talk. I like texting. It's quick, but, let's have a conversation. So, you know what to do when you go for an interview. All right. I'll get you to the top of that pile, but what are you going to do from there? Your thoughts on kind of that sort of thing, like if you get people together like you are doing, and maybe it's even a more formal, arena, where there's 15 people. Look, we all like mindsets. Let's talk about your issues and maybe come up with solutions, in this little, the group that we've got.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, and I'll tell you what. I think we want to be as active social media as possible. We want to be on the cutting edge, whether it's AI or whatever the case may be, and that's good stuff. But I really feel like there's a need to be face to face, and I think I'm with you. Text I love because it's in and out. You're quick. Email's a pain. It's long, and face to face is the best. So I feel like, look, if I have something I want to talk to someone about that's important, if I can, I want to meet face to face because it's so different. You have conversation that's beyond, what you might do text or so. I think, I think the point that you're making, and one of the things I want to say is that in my last segment of my time here at the chamber, it's been almost 29 years. I want to make sure that our leadership, our executive committee, our board is younger. I want us to be younger because I want young people to take over this organization and lead it in the future. And there are some really good young people that are involved with us now and that we want to continue to get involved with. So I don't want to stagnate. I think the world today, you got to keep evolving. You got to be better every day. And I don't want to be dug in on anything. I'm good to learn. I'm good to be versatile and to change. So that's kind of what I want us to do. But younger is what I'd like to do. Younger professionals, so we're not stagnating.
Yeah, and it's important to get the right people, obviously.
Yeah, not to say that we don't have legacy people that are amazing. We'll have that mix, but where I can, I'm going to find younger leaders.
Yeah, I think the mix is key. There's no doubt about it because even my time on the board at St. Luke's, I learn from people around me and became
Sure.
dangerous enough, to have a conversation about healthcare.
Yeah,
I
because you
mean,
learn.
and all the integration from, starting a baby unit, if you will, which they now did in Upper Bucks,
Yeah.
because that leads to long-term patients, long-term customers. They're going to use all the ancillary, services and testings and, everything else that comes along, but they'll start, from having a child born in your
Coach,
hospital.
one
Yep.
of the things we just say to young, when you say to young professionals, two things I think of. It goes really fast. Your career, your life it just, when I look back now, it was wonderful, and it is wonderful, but it like a rocket ship, it went.
Yes.
And many things that you think are hugely important in the end weren't nearly as much. So maybe a lesson just to look, there are things that happen in our lives that are really critical and that crush us or whatever. But many things that we think are hugely important turn out not to be not so much in the end.
It makes me smile because one of the things I wrote about in Team Killers was called "Don't Get Bloody," and I got that from Fred Harris. I'll give credit to Fred, who's the athletic director at Liberty High School. Good guy, good friend. And the story goes, we hosted a lot of high school games at DeSales, a lot of fun, but they transitioned from, paying you cash or whatever to the phone, and I said, look, man, I'm, an 85-year-old grandparents come in, just want to watch a kid play.
Yeah.
They don't know how to do that. Hell, I don't know how to do it. What do we do? He goes, they want to give you cash, fine. If not, just let them in. Don't get bloody. Don't get bloody.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh,
and to your point, how many people are out there, and you talk about this in my talk sometimes too, like, don't get bloody. That is a drop of the hat. Everything's turmoil. Everything's, just crazy. And then how about you just walk away? It's okay. Don't get bloody over every single drop of the hat. Just incredible. And you say that, you see it all the time. Man, that guy's getting bloody. That girl's getting, what are we doing? It doesn't matter. Just keep moving. It's okay. And when those other life-changing things do occur for you and I and everybody else, okay, then I've got all the temperament, all the emotional, strength I need to deal with that. And I didn't exhausted on some other garbage, where I got bloody. Don't get bloody. I think that's pretty amazing stuff. Last quick question on this segment. Told you it goes fast. This segment. So how about the guy that's the business that says, hey, I don't have time. I don't have time to join a chamber. And, how could you offset that pushback, try to convince that guy to, come on board, which I can help you do, I think. But why, you hear that a lot. I get too busy for that. What would you say to them?
It was funny when I first got here, we used to say, you only get out of it what you put into it. And I said to my staff, I said, why are we asking people to join and then give them another job? But so I think, look, having run a business and still running a business, we are very busy. I think if you pick and choose the right places to be, you're going to make contacts and you're going to do business and you're going to affect change. You're going to be part of your community. And so it's good for any business. You talked about, for instance, masterminds, which we have a masterminds program, or, just interacting with other people to learn more about your community, more about what the opportunities are, more how you can help, how they can help you. So I just think that you have to, one of the things I learned having a business, you have to stop and sort of think outside the business, if you will. If you just do business every day, you're going to be, there's a great story real quick, if I could, Coach, about two brothers that started and they had a family grocery business. And the one brother worked every day, all the time. And the other brother took his vacations, not abundance of them, but took vacations, took time for himself, took blue sky time. The brother that never left worked 24/7. He's still running the family business. And the other brother now has a chain of about 35 amazing grocery stores, if you will. So sometimes it's good to think outside the business and just stop. And I think for all of us, what I do, what you got to stop and say, when you're coaching, sometimes you have to stop and say, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Is the right thing to do?
Yeah. And I think alongside that, and you've done it at the chamber and everything else that you've done, and something I subscribe to really early, surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself.
Boy, that's a good one.
I'm a technological, misfit,
Yeah.
with a lot of stuff. So I surround myself with people that make me look good,
Yeah.
and that's important. And that's kind of outside the box, realizing, if you're a business owner or a young entrepreneur that, you're going to have, failures, if you will. You're going to have weaknesses. Don't run away from them. Try to help them. Try to enhance the weaknesses by surrounding yourself with people that can help you make a difference, that are aligned with what you believe in. I think surrounding
That's
yourself with great people is
That's
huge.
a great point. And I think of you, I'm really blessed that I'm surrounded by, on the top side, my volunteers, my board members. They're really super bright, smart as heck. And I'm so thankful. And and then on the org chart below, amazing staff that I have that I've surrounded. Really long term, been there for a long time. I love having a board because everyone's different. I'm not a one answer guy. I like input. I want to know what you think, coach. I want to know what someone else thinks, and then I'll reach my conclusion. So you just said it. Surround yourself with good people. Good people, not only good people from a talent basis, but just good human beings. People that really, you can tell when people are just good people.
I'd rather have that for sure. And when I used to scout for the Pirates, I worked for a guy, signed more guys that played in the major leagues than any scout that ever walked the face of the earth. And he would always tell me, and I never forgot this to this day, and all through my career, after all the evaluation is done, find out what kind of a person he is. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
that's for sure. And I've always subscribe to that notion. Find out what kind of a person he is. Besides, he may be really equipped with everything he needs, the talent and everything else. But deep down, is he gonna represent you when you're not in the room? That's
Especially,
pretty key.
in your world too. There's a lot of really, sometimes sports. Sports, it's not there's no depth to it. A bunch of, guys punching each other in the arm. Sports has changed tremendously now, and women's sports has come so far. And but you find a lot of, I bet you have tons, coach, of really good people that you've interacted with, other coaches, people you coached against, other athletic directors, players, community supporters. You've seen a lot of good human beings, I bet.
Yeah, no doubt, 100%. And I'm still friends with many of the coaches I coached against and administrators. I was on the NCAA committee, championships committee for 8. I'm still friends with those people 25 years ago. And you meet everybody, and again, the BS meter can go off once in a while, and you just kind of calmly walk away. Don't get bloody. It's okay. There's a lot of people out there that think they invented baseball, and I'm sure in business too, they think they invented the business model. And no, you probably didn't. You learned it from somebody else. I mean, we're visiting here with Tony Iannelli, the great, remarkable Tony Iannelli. I mean, you're an awesome individual. And one of the things we don't want on any business or any team is team killers, which I wrote a book about. In every workplace and every team, there are unseen forces that can derail success. In my book, Team Killers, I uncover the behaviors, attitudes, and habits that destroy chemistry and show you how to build a winning culture. If you're a leader, coach, or teammate who wants lasting success, this book is your playbook. Get your copy of Team Killers today and protect your team from the inside out. It's available on Amazon. Go to the website, CoachTimNeiman.com, and or just get a hold of me. I'll make sure you get some. I mean, it's a pretty good book. And the premise of it was, how many things, and you've been a million of them, they tell you what to do. Here's 5 things for success, 10 things to do that, 25 things to do. How about you tell me what not to do? How about you tell me, something that kind of goes on that nobody talks about. So that's kind of the premise of the book. One other thought I just had too, we're talking about you like to have input from other folks on your board and everything else. There's a really good book, and I don't know if you probably may have heard about Larry Ellison, who was he was a Jack Welch, he's with Jack Welch. He was a GE guy that left and ran Honeywell for a long time. And in the book, it's called Execution. And in that book, he talks about robust dialogue. You sit around a table, you got how many's in there, 8 to 10 folks. You hear them out, you respectfully listen, and knowing that the boss is going to make the ultimate decision, and you walk out of there, with that's the respect. But the folks that are in that room know they've been heard. They know they've been heard, and will that, first of all, the, walking out that door that day, gives them such a good feeling, right? Hey, I'm part of this, even though my even though my idea didn't resonate today, at least I was heard. And maybe the next time it will. And I think you get mutual respect from both ends, but execution, robust dialogue. I think robust dialogue is key. Now, you thoughts on that? Because you kind of mentioned it, right? So you have those people around you. You want to listen. You're a people person. I think that's pretty critical.
Yeah, I love team killers too, because boy, we've all seen, let's just say, it can happen in business, it can happen anywhere. It can happen if you're on a board of a political board, or your community board, you're a commissioner or whatever, and that is that team kill. I love that concept that one person can really change the dynamic, and sometimes that person needs, you got to change the team. And
Right.
How many teams have you seen, Coach, that didn't have nearly the talent that other teams did, but they had chemistry because they whatever that chemistry is, good people change. And we just saw it now, I think, with the men's Olympic hockey team.
100%.
Wasn't as talented, and I don't know, and maybe the same on the women's side, but in the sense that they both came together and did great stuff. And I think part of that was the chemistry. And when you think of the men's team, they came together like 2 weeks and had to put that whole thing together.
Yeah.
So
it was a pretty incredible moment.
I thought it was interesting from building organizations and even a company that they picked people not just because of their statistics and so on, but how would they blend with the team? How would they fit into that team puzzle rather than let's take the 25 greatest scorers or whatever.
Yeah, it's like in baseball. I think a lot of people can pick out the 9 best individuals, right? They can pick them out, but they don't always win. It's a collective 9 that wins. That's what usually wins. And chemistry is critical. But I've always said this: I know it when I see it. I do know it when I see it. I'm not sure how to coach it or get you there, but I can eliminate and peel back some layers that might allow it for you. But I don't think there's
you're right. It takes a little bit of luck. Sometimes that just magic happens, and you can't almost plan it perfectly, but sometimes the magic just happens.
It just happens. And it did with that hockey team. I still get emotional watching that. And I mean, it's just kind of cool. And a lot of that's leadership.
I refed ice hockey for 25 years. So I really enjoyed it.
I think you told me that once. Yeah. Wow. I can't even skate. I'd be
I couldn't either.
That's probably why you made a good official. You're behind the play and let me blow the whistle.
It's crazy. You talk about people, what you can do in the future. I never even skated until I was 29. I didn't like the sport at all. I thought, when we were younger, baseball, football, basketball, hockey players, but I just really went down to a game and I really enjoyed it, and somehow took a skating lesson or two and got close to a guy that ran a rink who was a Canadian hockey player, and he taught me a lot. And it was fun, and it's a good extra income too, Coach. People that officiate, umpiring and so on.
They do well.
I know we only have so much time, but I got to ask you this question: what do you think of the new concept where you can challenge balls and strikes? And by the way, the umpires are looking pretty good.
Yeah, they are. So we've had it in AAA for the last several years. And I don't know, I'm kind of an old school guy. I have opinions on a lot of the changes, but I got to, and they only get so many challenges a game. I think it's
2.
3. Is it 2?
No, it's 2. It's only 2. Yeah.
2. So you gotta use them strategically too. Yeah. And you're right. The umpires are pretty good.
Yeah.
It gives you a better respect for what they do. Me being a guy that, would have an arbiter incident once in a while, but I think, and I've got stories. I just crack you up.
Believe me, I would love to ask them.
We'll get them. So, but the system is okay. I'm okay with it, because it goes quick, and it does kind of, make the umpires look good. I think for the most part, and they're going to miss some
and correct some bad calls, which happen to all of us.
No, I think it's okay. Yeah. Some of the other stuff, not so much okay with me. But I've seen it for a couple of years, and I think it'll help baseball, and I think the fans will like it too. Now, if it took forever to do, that's got to be quick and spontaneous, and they do a really good job. Last segment here, Tony, I just want to touch a little bit on your leadership, your life and in leadership, and this is a show about a lot of leadership. Is there anything course of your career, doesn't have to be with a chamber, that as a leader, you made a decision that turned out, no, this is a little better than I thought it would be, or maybe on the flip side where, uh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Anything that comes to mind, one instance that, in my career as a leader.
Yeah, well, I say taking the job here was one. I think for me, the macro sense is I just being a people person, I have picked really good people. As I mentioned, I just sort of know people intuitively, and believe me, I've made mistakes, a lot of them. But I've surrounded myself by really smart people on the top side. Again, we have a board, and you have a chair of that board, and you have exec committees. And so I've been surrounded by really, really smart people that have guided me and helped me and partnered with me. And so I think that, and I think on the other side, as the CEO, I don't know, it's worked out pretty good. I'm not sure I can point to anything other than I think I have, I always say I'm work all the time, and not because I have a great work ethic, just that I'm really nosy and I want to know, I got this phone with me all the time. I want to know what's going on. But I've been blessed to really love what I do. Maybe because there's no reason I should be here. I'm ashamed to admit this, Coach. I don't have a 4-year degree. I started at Mack Truck and things just happen. So I don't want to get emotional, but it almost makes me emotional that there's no even reason why I should be here. So every day is a blessing. The whole march, the whole thing was well beyond my whatever I dreamed of. So just know every day that I'm blessed, and if I can keep the organization solid, and which I have, thank God. And if I can lift people up and help people succeed and help people grow and improve and impact the community, I'm going to keep hammering away at that.
You've done all that, and you are a true icon, my friend. Been amazing. I'll share something with you too. I also, out of high school, worked at Amatech, USPH, down in Sellersville, if you remember that.
Yeah, sure.
I ran a punch press. That's what I did out of high school. My dad worked there. My brother worked there.
Yeah.
And, I was employed for about a year and bought a brand new 77 black Monte Carlo out of the showroom. Hey, this is great. Until I got laid off, and that wasn't so good. So my life has been a little bit backwards as well. I do not have a 4-year degree as well. I fake
That
it.
shocks me.
You and I fake it pretty good, I think. But and it's just a piece of paper. There are a lot of educated derelicts out there for sure. So a lot. So
yeah.
So my resume would say some college. I got some.
That's amazing, Coach. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
job.
what I've learned and from so many different people. A quick funny story too. So I was taking this night class in accounting, and I learned enough to be dangerous. And the guy, I forget who was the professor, but I knew he worked at Air Products. Big burly guy. It was really cool. And so the last exam was a final. On the final exam, he said, "Look at," and he knew me for everybody knew me in the class, which was good and bad. But he goes, whatever you got going into the final, grade wise, you can't get any lower. I'm like, oh, let's go. I'm good with that. I'm solid B going in. If I get lucky, I'll take the A. So I took the final. I don't even know what I got. I didn't even look. Didn't care. So I walked out the door, and he was standing in the hallway in Dueling Hall at the sales. And he goes, "Coach, did you learn any accounting?" I said, "I did." And I said, "I know one thing. If I ever get an opportunity, to hire somebody, I'm going to hire a guy just like you. That's what I'm going to do." And he cracked up, and so it's kind of fun. You have to do things with a smile. But yeah, that's the same way. I've done this the hard way, and education is critical. And I've graduated, I don't know, hundreds of kids over the years, and I'm still mentoring them and life lessons, more than what's in the book.
But what's sad about today, Coach? Every application is electronic. So guys like you and I would never get this job
chance.
ever.
Yeah.
Because I would get to that button, degree button, I would push no, done. Wouldn't even have a chance. So I feel like I want to tell a lot of employers, boy, if you're into this process that's total electronic, you're missing, not that they can interview everybody, but boy, there ought to be some kind of measure where people are on the fence that can turn into to really do great things.
Yeah. I mean, after all evaluation is done, again, what kind of a person, what you're reading on a screen, computer screen, or an electronic application, you have no idea what kind of person. None. Yep. You have none. And maybe you're going to bring them in and interview them and find out. But Yeah, I think there's a lot of great people out there that are probably missed. And you know what else is getting off track a little bit? I think trade schools are going to, and they already are, going to really take off here in the next
Yeah.
decade.
And boy, what
And
the
there's
opportunity is, if you have a trade today, wow.
unreal. And there's a graduation cliff, and we're in it now in high schools. There are less inventory of kids. There's
Yeah.
less. So the colleges are really fighting with their discount rate and everything
Yeah.
else. It's not sustainable, but
So,
they have to do what they got to do to keep the doors open. So I think you'll see kids migrate somewhat to those trade skills and have those skills that actually, they're going to do really well, a lot better, and have minimum debt, less debt, for sure. I think it's,
when you told the one story, Coach, you made me think. Just one last story before we go, and that was,
oh,
I thought about, it's like you, when I got the job at Mack Truck, $8.50 an hour. I thought, oh my God, this is in the 70s. And I went over and bought a Toyota Celica. I'll never forget, brand new. I never bought a new car. And I said to the dealer, I said, how much you want for that car? He said, $29.29, as in $2,900. That's what brand new, $29.29. I thought I was a big negotiator. I said, what will you take for it? He said, $29.29. It's the last one. If you don't buy it now, I have a guy coming in 5 minutes. I'll take it. So, enough for negotiating. But anyway,
that's a great
for a brand new car. So.
How about it? I think I paid that 77 on a car. I think I paid about $6,000, something like that, right out of the showroom, red interior. Yeah, I'm that guy.
But you filled it
guy,
yourself. Right? You drove away with that, boy. You're like, I used to drive. There was a bank. The whole side of the bank in Allentown was glass, a mirror. And I used to drive by there as much as I could just to look at myself in this car, drive by and look like there I am. So anyway.
Same thing. You want to cruise the Quakertown Strip down there with the. I think I know the answer to this question already. I mean, how do you stay energized, Tony? I mean, you I know you love the people and love what you're doing. I think it's probably the answer. But anything else you want to add it to that?
I don't know. I guess, it's just a gift. I would say, I'll say to my wife, she kids me, I'll say, you know what, tomorrow, let's say tomorrow I'm not doing anything. And she laughs, yep, okay. And I don't know, I just have to, I think part of it too is I came from a big family of 7 and my grandmother lived with, so there was a house of 10 people, ranch house. And I think, frankly, getting out of there was better than being in. I mean, it was a great family, but getting out of that chaos was like, I'm out of here. So I think I learned at a young age to get out of here. And I think I just keep moving, and I have ADHD, so that has to be fed all the time. So I don't know. I'm just, I would say on the brain scale, not the highest number, but on the energy scale, much higher. So the combination has helped. So.
Yeah, the energy coming out of ear and in ear, and
this one I don't know.
What are you
plus,
doing,
I already
man?
had. Plus, as you can relate to, as biplanes, I've had at least seven concussions. So over the years, so.
Last two for you. If listeners take only one message, from our conversation today, what would you want them to take away from today?
The best you can, enjoy the run. Know that you're going to be ups and downs. I've had downs, deep downs, and I've had great ups. But generally, I used to have a boss, coach, that would say to me, "Chum," he used to call me Chum. "Chum, are you reasonably happy?" So maybe say not to expect to be euphoric all the time. Know that it's up and down, but in the end, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be alive. It's a blessing to be around people. It's a blessing to live, and to enjoy life the best you can, and just keep that in mind. I think appreciation is a good thing, but I don't know. I don't know. As I said, I never thought I'd be where I am. I'm thankful that I am, and I'll take every minute of it. And I've got a great family. I'm thankful for that. 2 great daughters and a great wife. And I don't know. I guess what I would say to anybody that's watching, if you have any questions, reach out to me. I always say I'm the one-on-one guy. If I can help people in any way, like you, Coach, I'm sure you've been through stuff in life that you think, I hope I get past this, but you get past it somehow, and in the end, it's all good.
Always good. How do people reach out to the chamber? Go to the website. If somebody wants to learn more about it and join, where should they go?
LehighValleyChamber.org, and you'll see events and meet the staff. By the way, our staff, we have no landlines. We're all in cell. So if you go on there and see me, it's my cell phone. You can text me. You can call me. You can call anybody on the chamber, depending on what area in. We have 33 different people in all the different communities, and we love to be, we're available. So call us, and anything we can help with, we're in. And Coach, thank you for everything you've done and your energy and what you've given to this community. And every time I'm around you, it makes me smile. So that's a good thing.
I'm happy for that. Life's too short not to smile. Last question I ask everybody that comes on: what does straight lines mean to you, Tony? And again, I think I told you the story. I was with Ed Ott, one of the ambassadors up in Boston, North Shore, Lynn, Massachusetts, and I always was enamored by physically the straight lines of a baseball field, how well it's manicured, all that stuff. But it's outside of that. It's a metaphor for people that care. And it rained the night before in Lynn, and I'm sitting in the bleachers, and this guy, there's a bunch of staff out there wiping the seats down, drying them off, and also a guy like you and me, this guy's probably not, serving popcorn during the game, but he was doing the same thing. We walk across the field. I said, I'm impressed with the preparation for your customers. And to me, it shows you care. And he says, well, I appreciate that, Coach. He said, I don't get that very often. And that's true, right? We don't give enough verbal bouquets. And he said, I appreciate that. I'm the owner of the team. And he also turned out to be the CEO of State Street Global at the time, way back 20 years ago. But it's a metaphor, for like you care. And again, I mentioned before, the line to success is not straight by any imaginable way. It gets all over the place, but how quick can you change the tire and get back on and, keep moving forward? So what does it mean to you and everybody's got a different answer, and they've all been amazing. And I'm going to put them all together at some point. But what's it mean to you, Tony?
Well, I love what you're saying, and that's a great example. I love owners. I love leaders that, number one, remember how they got there. Number two, paid their dues to get there, and took that we'd love to have that straight line, but that line gets a little crooked from time to time. But I think what it means to me is that, again, back to what we were saying, you just keep marching forward and know where you're going. I get in a view with a baseball guy, know you're going to first base, and you get there, and knowing when to take a shot at second base and when not to. So that balance too of being a risk taker, which I think is good, but not foolishly a risk taker. So that's what it means to me, Coach.
That's awesome. Thank you for joining me on Straight Lines, where leadership lessons meet the game of life. If you enjoyed today's show, share it with your friends and colleagues. Subscribe and connect with me on social media for more insights. And if you want to dive deeper, check out the two books, What is Your Legacy? And Team Killers. Please visit CoachTimNeiman.com and check out the YouTube channel, the Neiman Legacy Network. Until next time, lead with clarity, play with purpose, and keep those lines straight. Mr. Tony Iannelli, I can't thank you enough, sir, for spending some time with me today. Look forward to our interactions, going forward. But thank you, sir, very much.